Hello, students. Today we are taking the next topic of ecology, that is, ecological interdependence or ecological interactions or population interaction. In this, you need to understand one important point, that is, no organism on this complete Earth planet can be able to live alone. Organisms need to depend upon one another. You may think that plants are static, they are present in a same place, they don't depend upon others. No, even plants are also depending upon some biotic components like honeybees, butterflies for their pollination. So, organism may be for food, or maybe for shelter, or maybe for protection, or maybe for maintaining their species constant, that means reproduction. For all these needs, one organism has to depend upon another organism. Of course, sometimes one species it depends upon another species. So what I wanted to tell you is we are all dependent. So in this dependence we have two types of interactions. The first one is positive or beneficial interaction, and the second one is negative interaction. Means, let us take the first one, positive or beneficial interaction. In this, one or both the interacting species are benefited. That means this is a type of interaction in which two organisms are present. In this two organisms, both may be equally benefited, or one do not get any benefit, but of course it is not get harmed also. So the other organism it may be benefited. So in this interaction, that's why it is called as a positive or beneficial. That means one species 100% it will get benefit. The other species sometimes it will be benefited, sometimes it is not benefited, but still it is not harmed. That is called as a positive interaction. Whereas a negative interaction, exactly opposite to positive interaction, is a negative interaction. That means in this two organism participate, very good. In this one organism will be harmed, only other organism will be benefited. So positive means both the organisms may be benefited, or one organism will be benefited and another organism do not get benefit, or of course it is not harmed also. Negative interaction means only one organism will be benefited and of course the another organism it will be harmed. So this is the difference between positive and negative interactions. Today's class we will discuss about positive or beneficial interactions. Again, this positive or beneficial interactions are of three types. The first one is mutualism, and the second one is commensalism, and the third one is proto cooperation. Let us take the first one. Now, the first one is mutualism, which is simply called as symbiosis, and it is also called as co-evolution. Here, you can see two positive signs. This indicates in this particular relationship, two organisms are present, and this plus indicates both the organisms are equally benefited. That is called as mutualism. For every interaction, we are going to have this type of symbols. Either sometimes it become plus or it become minus, or sometimes it becomes zero also. So in case of mutualism, both the organisms are equally benefited. That's why partner 1 and partner 2 both are getting benefited. So here also plus and here also plus. Let us take examples for mutualism. Just now I told what is mutualism. Mutualism means this is an association in which two organisms are participating and both the organisms are equally benefited. Then this is called as mutualism. Here I clearly, very clearly mentioned both the organisms are equally benefited. Then that is called as mutualism. That is the reason why here both the sides, that means organism A and also organism B, here both organisms are given with plus sign. Hope you understand now. Now let us take a few examples, at least 3 4 examples, very important examples only we'll take. Here interactions are vast. We can't be able to complete all the interactions for 10 days. 10 days also we can't be able to finish. So we are going to read only important examples which are usually coming in the NEET. and rest of the examples we are leaving it. Now let us take the first example, mutualism between animal and another animal. That means between animals, how this mutualism exists. Let us take the example for this. Here, I've taken the example of termites and Trichonympha. Trichonympha is a flagellated protozoan. See here in this microscopic view, because they are very minute, that's why we have taken microscopic view. See, they're all flagellated. They are having flagella. That's why it is also called as flagellated protozoan. And how the mutualism existing between termites and Trichonympha, let us see. This is a termite species. Hope you know termite. It damages the wood. It eats cellulose. It feeds on wood. So while it is eating on wood, wood, its cell wall, because wood is extracted from plant, and plant cell walls are obviously made up of cellulose. Every one of us know this. When it is eating cellulose, it is not having capacity to produce an enzyme called cellulase. Cellulase is an enzyme which can be able to digest the cellulose. Problem is it is eating cellulose, but in its body it don't have the capacity to produce the cellulase enzyme. That is a problem they are having. That's why they make this mutualism with this Trichonympha. Trichonympha, they are living in the intestines of this particular termites, in which they release the cellulase enzyme, so that when they are having wood, in that the cellulose, they will be digested by the cellulase released by this particular Trichonympha. Whereas they are living in the intestine of this particular termites, that's why this Trichonympha, they are getting food and of course shelter. So I told mutualism may both the organisms are equally benefited. See, what are the equal benefits? Trichonympha, it is getting shelter and also food from this termites. Now termites, what they are getting benefit, let us see. It in termites, as they are unable to produce cellulase enzyme to digest cellulose, there's a Trichonympha, it is producing the cellulase enzyme to digest cellulose. So both the organisms are equally benefited. That's why this is the best example for mutualism. Of course, this is a mutualism between two animals. So this is also an animal and this is also an animal. Now let us take second example. Like that, we will read 3-4 examples so that you will understand the concept better. Now let us take the second example, mutualism between plants and animals. Earlier also we read one example, but that is between animal and another animal. But here we are discussing about plant and animal. Now here also I brought two examples for this. Here the first example is Jucularella and Hydra. Jucularella, it is an algal member, whereas Hydra is a cylindrate member. Let us see how they are the example for mutualism, how they come under mutualism. Jucularella, being an algae, it lives in the body of this Hydra, whereas Hydra is an animal. Obviously it takes oxygen and it releases carbon dioxide. Now when it is releasing the carbon dioxide, this Jucularella, it is taking the carbon dioxide, and as I already clearly mentioned, Jucularella is an algal member. That's why in the process photosynthesis, it releases oxygen, so that oxygen, it will be released by Hydra. See, both are equally benefited. Hydra, it is giving carbon dioxide to Zuclarella, and Zuclarella, by its vital mechanism called photosynthesis, it is utilizing the carbon dioxide and it is releasing oxygen, and the released oxygen, it is utilized by Hydra. So equally benefited. That's why this is the best example for mutualism. Even here also, in the second example also, this example is pollination between yucca plant and Pronuba. It is a moth. Actually, it is actually a moth. See here, you can be able to see this is a moth, and its name is Pronuba. Now, this Pronuba, it takes this shelter of this particular yucca plant, where it can be able to complete its life cycle. So it can lay eggs, and the eggs will be hatched, and they forms cocoon, and then they transform into a moth. So the life cycle, it will be completed in this flower. That means I'm talking about yucca flower, Whereas whenever these flies are going out, here their androeciums, they release some pollen grains, and that pollen grains will fall on the wings of this particular moth. So whenever it is flying, it may land on another flower, so obviously it helps in the pollination. So pollination means the process of transfer of pollen grains from one flower to another flower. Of course, there are three types of pollination. In reproduction chapter, I will clearly explain. Now you just remember, from one flower to another flower, pollen grain transfer, it is called as pollination. And pollination is a very big topic, and I'll definitely explain while I am explaining about reproduction in plants. Okay. Now, let us come to directly to the point. What is our point? Mutualism. How they comes under example for mutualism. Now, this moth, it helps in transferring the pollen grains. So flower got benefit, and moth can be able to finish its life cycle in this flower. So this moth, it is getting benefit. So both are equally benefited. So obviously it is an example for mutualism. So let us take one more example. Now, this example every one of us know. I think I need not to explain this in detailed way, because mineral nutrition may almost 2-3 days we explain this particular topic, nitrogen fixation. And in that, the example is mutualism between plants, of course legume plants and bacteria. That means here rhizobium bacteria, and here in here I mentioned it very clearly, legume plant with rhizobium bacteria. You all know rhizobium bacteria has one very important enzyme that is called as a nitrogenase, which is capable to convert the atmospheric, that means gaseous nitrogen, to nitrites or nitrate form, which are the edible forms to the plants. Where this rhizobium, it is getting shelter. See this rhizobium, this is the actual root, whereas in this root you can be able to see some nodules. I'm showing you. You just follow this particular arrow mark, then you will understand. So these are all nodules. In this nodules, this rhizobium will get shelter and of course food. Whereas rhizobium, because it is giving shelter, it has to return something, and it converts this atmospheric nitrogen to nitrates or nitrate form, and it is giving to the plant. So plant, it is getting nitrogen in form of nitrite or nitrate, and rhizobium, it is getting food and shelter. So both are equally benefited. So this is also one of the very best example for mutualism. Let us take one more example. Now, this example, mutualism between algae and higher plants. For this, I brought two examples. The first one is azolla and coralloid roots. Coralloid roots means we already discussed in the plant kingdom. In this coralloid roots may, this azolla, it lives like a mutualistic partner, in which it helps in the nitrogen fixation, whereas coralloid root, it gives a shelter to this particular azolla. So coralloid root, it is giving shelter to azolla, whereas azolla, it is converting the atmospheric nitrogen to nitrites and nitrates, and both are equally getting benefited. That's why this is also the best example for mutualism. Whereas here nostoc anabina with anthoceros, and this is also same. This relation is also for nitrogen fixation. Here also shelter, these two are getting, that means nostoc and anabina, they are getting shelter, whereas anthoceros, it is getting nitrogen in form of nitrites and nitrates, and nitrites and nitrates are the edible forms of nitrogen to the plant body. The next example is mutualism between algae and fungi. This is a separate topic of biological classification. Hope you remember, after explaining fungi, of course, after finishing the explanation of fungus, we explained about mycorrhiza and also lichens. These are exclusive, like separate topics in our syllabus, which we already completed, and we took 2-3 tests also on this. So I need not explain more. So lichens, it is a symbiotic association between algae and fungus, and algal partner, it is called as phycobiont, whereas fungal partner, it is called as mycobiont. Whereas algae, it is a photosynthetic member, so it gives food to this particular fungus, and fungus body it is called as mycelium. It is having filamentous body, so in the loops of this particular filaments, this particular algae it exists. That means algae is getting shelter. See, I'm clearly showing here. If you observe this diagram, you can clearly understand. See, these are all hyphae, and this complete body it is called as mycelium, whereas this single thread like structure it is called as hyphae. And in between hyphae you can see green colored dots, and this green colored dots are nothing but algal cells. Here I am showing also this arrow mark, you follow and you will understand. So you follow this arrow mark. Now this green color it is showing, so this is a fungal cell. And see this arrow mark you follow, then you can understand this is a fungal partner. Now this algae it is preparing the food, and it is giving to the fungi, and fungi it is giving shelter, so both are equally benefited. So it is also a best example, the best example for mutualism. And here I clearly mentioned one important point, that is helotism, where two partners are there and of course they both are equally benefited. As but what is helotism? Both are equally getting benefited, but fungal partner is more dominant over algal partner. So the association in which both are benefited, yes it is correct, but one partner is a little more dominant over another partner, then that is called as helotism. Very simply it is called as a master and slave relationship. And this of course I need not to explain this in detail, because helotism topic, while I'm explaining about lichen topic, I clearly explained and I gave notes. Now the next example, and here also we already discussed, this is mycorrhizal association, mutualism between fungi and higher plants. So the roots of higher plants they are having this fungal association. You can see how this fungi is attached to these particular roots. So they provides this particular mineral nutrients, so minerals to the plant, and of course plant it is providing them shelter and of course food. They are getting food, and they are that means here both are equally benefited. Here it is getting food and this is getting the minerals, so it is also the best example for mutualism. And the next example is fig tree and wasp species. So this is fig. What you say, I'm not much perfect in Hindi. Anjeer, if I'm correct, I think I'm right. In Anjeer, you can be able to see this type of wasps are there. And if you if you open this Anjeer, you can be able to see these wasps. And what they do their egg laying in this. So this fig, it is giving shelter. That means Anjeer, it is giving shelter to this particular wasp. And whenever they are going out, that means this wasp it is going out, they carry their seeds. Their seeds are very very small. So this wasp it is getting shelter, and of course place for deposition of what, egg. Whereas this fig, that means Anjeer fruit, it is getting their seeds, that means their pollination, the seed transfer. So both are equally benefited. So this is also one of the best example for mutualism. And I think this is the last example, that is a bee and orchid flower. And this is a very very important question, and I can say 2 3 times this question is asked. And bee and orchid flowers, this question generally need it is asked in the name of pseudo copulation. I'll tell you what is pseudo copulation very clearly. For that only I brought all these diagrams. See, you can clearly observe, please observe it carefully, otherwise you don't understand and you will confuse also. Actually these are not flowers. These are the flowers which are not bees. I'm really sorry, I made a mistake. These are flowers which are looking like bees. I actually wanted to tell these are not bees, but by mistake I told these are not flowers. See, these are actually flowers, but actually not bees, but they are looking like bees. You see, uh, are you getting the impression that you are seeing a flower? No, it is giving a pseudo appearance of a this bee. So a male bee usually it dwells honey. It comes for honey collection. When it comes for honey collection, as it is appearing in a female bee color, that means these petals they are appearing in female bee. It fell in confusion. How come a female bee is here? And then it lands on this particular flower, and when it lands on this particular flower, all this pollinated, this pollen grains will be dusted on this particular wings. So the orchids, it is giving the impression that they are the female bees, so that they are attracting the male bees. So male bee, it is getting the benefit of dwelling honey, and this orchid, it is getting the benefit of pollination. So both are equally benefited. And here, why I mentioned pseudo copulation. Pseudo means false, copulation means meeting the other partner, that means opposite gender. So it is under the impression that it is a female bee, and of course after landing, obviously it come to know it is not a female bee, but it lands on this particular orchid flowers under the impression it is actually a female bee. So that's why it is considered as pseudo copulation, false copulation. Hope you understand. Now, let us take one more interaction. As I already mentioned, the positive interactions are of three types. The first one is mutualism. For mutualism, if I am correct, I explained five examples, and for proto cooperation also, I am going to explain two, three examples. And the next one is commensalism. And tomorrow, in the next class, we will explain about negative interactions. And let us take the second interaction, that is proto cooperation. In this proto cooperation, what is the difference between mutualism and proto cooperation? First we need to understand, and obviously very clearly you will understand what is proto cooperation. See, here also both are equally benefited, but what is the difference? Mutualism also both are equally benefited, and proto cooperation also both are equally benefited. Then what makes the difference between both of them? Very important point this is. If they are getting separated, for example, here I have taken one example, hermit crab and sea anemone. See here, this is a sea anemone. I think it is more clear here. So this is sea anemone and this is hermit crab, and if you observe, now you separate both of them, happily they can be able to live their independent life. That means here they are non-obligatory or occasional association. See, I clearly mentioned it is facultative, optional. See, it is optional or occasional or non-obligatory. That means there is no rule or there is no need. If they are separated, they both will die. There is no need. If they live together, then only they can be able to survive. That rule is not at all existing in this. They are associating for their temporary benefit. For example, if they get separate, there is no problem, they can happily lead their independent life. But let us take mutualism. Both has to live together. Let us take a lichen and algae. Now if you remove them, obviously the relationship won't be successful. But here, if you separate them, obviously they can be able to lead their successful life. Now let us take the first example, hermit crab and sea anemone. uh, this hermit crab is actually molluscan, where you can see this particular what I call calcareous shell. Attached to this calcareous shell, you can be able to see this particular sea anemone. Now sea anemone, it is a sedentary, it is fixed to one place. But because it is attached to this hermit crab, it will take this particular sea anemone to various places, so that it can be able to taste various types of larvae. So it helps in food collection. Whereas hermit crab also getting benefited, because proto cooperation also, both the organisms are equally benefited. That you need to clearly understand. So hermit crab also need to get benefit. So what benefit it is getting? Let us see. This sea anemone, they consisting of tentacles, so it helps in protecting this particular hermit crab from the predators. So here you clearly must have understood both are equally benefited. That's why it is a good example for proto cooperation. So then why it is not example for mutualism? Because mutualism may they are closely associated, here they are not closely associated. If they are separated, happily they can be able to live alone their independent life. That's why it is example of proto cooperation, but not mutualism. Now let us take next one more example. Now this tick bird and rhino. Now this is a rhino or a rhinoceros. In this you can be able to see this tick birds. Now how they are benefited, let us see. Tick birds, usually this rhinoceros, it move into the bushes, and also it walk between the trees, so that some seeds and also some germs and all, they are present on this particular body. So these tick birds, they eat that particular birds, and also they, I'm really sorry, they eat that particular worms and also that seeds and some pollen grains and all. Whereas whenever if any dangerous predator is coming towards it, it makes some flocking sound. By the flocking sounds, it get alert. So that means it is also getting benefit, and this is also getting benefited. So this is how both are benefited. So again, I'm telling you, this tick birds, they can be able to collect some worms and also some seeds that are present on the body. Whereas if any predator is coming towards this particular rhino, it makes a sound, a flocking sound. By the flocking sound, it gets alert and it run away, or it may fight also sometimes. If it is not more dangerous, it fight, and it saves its life. And if it is dangerous, it can be able to escape, it run away from that particular place. But what I finally want to tell you is, it alerts this particular rhino, and it gets food from this particular rhino. So both are equally benefited. But see, you separate them, happily it can be able to live its independent life. And of course, stick bird, it's not necessary that it only get the food only from the body of this particular rhino. ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है, happily it also will get the food material. So happily they can be able to live independently. That's why it is an example for proto cooperation. See, in the name itself, cooperation, they are cooperating each other. Now, the next example, crocodile and bird. In this crocodile and bird, usually this is a crocodile when it is eating fish. And this, especially I'm talking about bony fishes. And bony fishes means you can be able to see some spines. And of course, many of you are non-vegetarians, you must be knowing it. When you are having fishes, your mothers will tell, oh, carefully you eat, because there are some spines. So some spines will stuck in this mouth, so that this bird helps in removing it, and it eats it actually. And some flesh particles also it eats it. So bird, it is getting food, whereas it is getting its mouth it is getting cleaned. So both are cooperating each other. So but it by mistake also don't eat this bird. Okay, only human beings are greedy, animals are not greedy. Once their tummy is filled, they don't eat more. But our human tendency is very greedy. Actually, one human being, when they are going for fishing for their family and for his livelihood, maybe 10 fishes are enough. Maybe, but he don't stop by fishing just 10 fishes. He will fish 100 and make more money. So this is called as greed. And that greed, luckily animals are not there. Animals are very good, not like human beings. So it don't eat this particular bird, so it is safe. Now, scavenging. Scavenging means the organism which eats the dead bodies, that is called as scavenging. But it usually don't kill. It usually don't kill, but it eats. For example, one tiger is there. A tiger, it kills one buffalo. Let us take just example ke liye I'm telling, and it eats some, and some remnant of food is there, and that remnant food they eat. So for this also I brought some examples. Here I brought the example of, if I am correct, these are wolves. And this wolf, it eats on dead body. See how they are quarreling each other, and how it is taking the dead body and it is going. And it usually don't kill, and it wait a big predator to kill some other organism, and then the remnant food it will be taken. Now, that means here also the proto cooperation is left. How it is waiting for that particular organism to kill, and by showing the prey, it is helping that predator, and predator by leaving some remnant food, and it is giving food. So this is how they are like cooperating each other. That's why this is also the best example for proto cooperation. And the next one is vulture. And vulture also obviously depends upon the dead bodies. See, this is a dead, and all these vultures, and of course it is looking little what I call scary also. So we will change this. Now ants, see how they are quarreling for the same bite. same prey. I can't say this is bite, this is prey, I can say. And see, crow. So these are the examples for scavenging. Now, today's last interaction, and tomorrow we are going to start the negative interactions. For today, this is a last topic, that is commensalism. See, here also I mentioned with this signs, plus sign and zero. That means one organism it is getting benefited and the other organism neither benefited nor harmed. That means it is not getting benefit and it is not harmed also. So one is like a neutral and other one is getting benefit, then that is called as commensalism. Students, you have to listen, you have to remember this very carefully, then only you can be able to answer in the exam. Otherwise thoda confusion aayega. Simple, you need to understand. If you mug up, you never understand. Not, I'm not talking about here biology, not only biology, you take chemistry, you take mathematics, you take any other subject. When you understand, you can be able to answer it very easily. If you just mug up the concepts, you can be able to you can't be able to answer it. So please understand this. So commensalism means one organism is benefited, the other organism either not getting benefit or not getting harmed. So that is important. That's why one is zero and the other partner species A is benefited. For this also I brought, I think, 2 3 examples. The first one is Linus. Lianas means woody plants, actually woody climbers. So these woody climbers, they climb. See, this is a tree, a big tree, and this is a Linus. Linus, see, it is climbing. By climbing, it is getting support. But this main tree, this actual tree, it is not getting either harmed or it is not even benefited. That means one organism is neutral. It is not getting any benefit, it is not getting any harm, but the other organism is benefited because it got some support to climb. So hope you understand. An example is Linus, and of course another example also I brought. Now, epiphytes. Epiphytes, do you remember adaptation? That means in the same chapter, this is the second time I'm explaining epiphytes. Some plants, they live on another plant, upon another plant, then that is called as epiphyte. And for this also, I brought one more example, that is orchids and hanging mosses. Orchids, I clearly explained. These orchids, they live upon some trees, and tree is not getting any benefit, but these orchids, they are getting shelter. Whereas hanging mosses also, they grow on some what I call branches of some trees, and trees, they don't get any benefit, but they got some support, they got some shelter. So this is how the commensalism will be. And I think one more example is there. Okay, the example is epizones. That means animal depending upon either plants or another animal. Here the example is suckerfish and a shark. See, here, to explain this, you have to see this first example, this image. And here there is a sucking disc. Did you notice? See, this is called a sucking disc actually, and with the help of this sucking disc, it will be attached to this shark. Shark, it goes to various places. So when it is going to various places, it eats a varied food. So this is how it is getting benefit. But shark ke liye there is no benefit. So again, same, commensalism mein one organism is not getting any benefit or harm, so shark is not getting any harm and also not any benefit. But sucking fish, it can be able to take a ride on this particular shark, and it can be able to collect varied types of food stuff. That means small fishes and some small algae, it can be able to small zooplanktons, phytoplanktons, like that it can be able to eat. So one organism is benefited and another organism is neutral. Now, the next example, Escherichia coli. It is a bacteria that is present in the colon region of this human intestine. While I'm explaining about digestive system, I already explained this, if I'm correct. So in this Escherichia coli, we are giving shelter, but Escherichia coli ka wajah se we don't get any harm or even benefit also. So this is also one of the good examples, I can say. And this is a very cute example, a very good looking example, a clone fish with sea anemone. See how colorful. Basically clone fishes are very beautiful fishes. So clone fishes, They, whenever any predator is coming towards them, immediately they hide themselves in the sea anemone, because see, these are all tentacles, so into this they hide. So whenever this predator go away, and they will come out. So see how they are coming out. And whenever any predator is coming, immediately they are going into this particular tentacles. So sea anemone, it is not getting any benefit, but clownfish it is getting benefit, because whenever the predator is coming, they can be able to hide themselves. So this is how they are getting benefited. And pilot fish and shark, same. They take the shelter of this particular shark. That means they project a big villain in front of them, and they get saved. Usually when shark is there, no any other fish they can come, and they can be able to eat this pilot fish. But of course, by shark, but to the shark, there won't be any benefit this by this pilot fishes. But pilot fishes, they are getting protected by this particular shark. Now, barnacles and whale. See how the barnacles are attached to this particular whale. So whale, it is not any getting any benefit out of this particular barnacles, but barnacles, they happily can be able to attach to this particular whale. So whale, it is not getting any benefit, but barnacles are getting benefited. So this is also the best example for this what I call commensalism. And last example, that is egret birds, cattle. See, I repeated cattle twice. I'm not understanding. In every presentation, may at least one small repeating or a small mistake I'm making. I don't know why. So cattle with egret birds. These egret birds, they are present on this particular cows or buffaloes or any cattle. Actually, I don't mean only cows. I mean any cattle. Here, this egret birds, they same, they collect this particular what I call insects, and also this what I call seeds and all from this body of this particular cows. Whereas this cow do not get any additional benefit by them. So this is how they both are sorry, this egret bird will be benefited. This is the last example for your commensalism. And tomorrow's class, we will take the negative interactions. Hope you understand today's topic, and today's topic is very important topic, so read carefully. Thank you so much.